So you guys wanted to play, replay a really fun game I just did. It's a 10-minute rapid. I'm still 200 points below my peak, so just waiting for the mojo to come back. But this is a real beauty. This was lovely, and it's in the Russo Gambit. So my first video today, apologise for the state of my mitts, I've been working in the garden. My first video today was all about gambits, and I think this is just a really good example of how a gambit game can go well when it goes well. So let me take you through it. So it's e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. I'm kind of veering away from the Latvian right now on move 2. I've had such good results with this, delaying f5 until the next move, whether it's 3 knights, whether it's whatever that's called, Ponziani. Even the Scotch is okay. But anyway, so we have an Italian, and so we play f5, which is the Russo Gambit. Pawn takes, looks like a free pawn. Now I could here push d5 because the queen can't come out with check, so I think that may be the move. Maybe correct. I haven't looked at the game report. I will look later. Here I push the pawn, and we have queen blocks. The knight literally has nowhere to go because my knight's guarding these 2 squares, just like in the Vienna Gambit, and my queen is guarding these 2. So there's really only 2 options of retreat the knight or pin the pawn with the queen, as you see here. So I play queen e7, just exactly like you do in the Vienna Gambit, and the knight is forced to retreat anyway. Now I would love to play d5, which maybe I should have played earlier, but now my queen is no longer on the d file. The bishop could just take it, so I'm going to have to play knight to f6 very soon. I debated that here, and instead chose to play the immediate knight d4, thinking that because I'm attacking the queen and attacking c2, that the queen retreating to d1 would be forced. But as soon as I played it, I realised that white had queen h5 check now. So I'm not too concerned about this. You have to calculate what happens if g6, fg, hg, but then we lose the rook. And the queen's looking at the knight. Okay, so I didn't fancy all of that complications. One option here is to play knight to f6. Well, then you have to play that first, and then if takes, knight to f6. But then they can push, and they're threatening to capture the rook with promotion. So you win a queen, they get a queen back. So in this case, I decided just to play king d8 and give up castling rights. Right, but I still have a threat. I still have the threat of knight takes c2 with a fork on king and rook. I'm threatening knight f6, and this is the whole point about gambit lines. My opponent has wrestled back some initiative here, but now they bring their knight out to a3. It's really the only way to defend this square, whether the pawn's on it or not. Now I have knight f6, so this comes with tempo against the queen. The other real benefit of this, and maybe I should have played it earlier, is it also protects d5, which means you can play d5 with tempo and knock the bishop away. So the queen retreats, and now I can play d5. Bishop retreats to b3. And I was sorely tempted to capture the bishop. I had to think about it, but then I thought, look, if this pawn ends up here, I've got an El Monstro light square pawn chain here, which is going to lock this bishop out of the game, right? So there's no point exchanging this wonderful horsey for that poor bish. So I decided not to. Instead, I just developed my bishop, recapture the pawn, and now look at the situation. This is really a theme of this game, right? Black has this mass of forces in the middle of the board, and all white stuff is around the periphery. And just if you've never really understood the point of controlling the center and owning the center and putting your pieces in the center, this game is a great example. Okay, so we have now c3 from white, and I decide to play c5. He's attacking my... Did I just miss that he's attacking my knight? that has to be a blunder. I just missed it. Then later on I thought, I'm a piece down. Why am I a piece down? Anyway, this is maybe why I'm a piece down. What the bloody hell was I thinking here? Thinking if pawn takes knight, it's just a miswiring anyway. Pawn takes knight, I recapture. So I've just given up a knight for a pawn for no reason whatsoever. Well, that was just silly. Okay, so now he brings his knight out. He's looking at this pawn on d4, which is undefended. So now I lift my queen. And look at this mass of material in the centre. Okay, we have a proposed exchange of queens. I decide to accept this, even though I've not quite realised that I'm down in material at this point in the game. And we have a trade of queens. So now I've got the evil twins here. Right? The nice thing about evil twins is that side-by-side bishops, you really do block out a whole load of stuff, as we will shortly see. We have castles from white, and here I had a think. All right, I know I'm undefending this pawn, but I felt like it was time to press my advantage and go in with the knight or go in with the bishop and just try to squash white's dreams before he can move these pawns, get his bishops and rooks involved in the game. I need to move. I think at some point I tried castling and then realised my king is dark and on a dark square, so I must have moved it. So I go in with the knight. This prompts h3, which is some concession, and I simply move my knight back now, redefending this pawn on d5. Rook comes across now in line with my king, and I decide here to push. I wanted to push because I want to stop this pawn. I want to stop that pawn because this pawn is already immobile, and I want to keep this bishop out the game, which keeps this rook out the game. Right, so I'm basically playing with more pieces than this bugger here. So knight now pivots round, adding a second attacker onto this pawn. And again, I feel like forwards is the way to go. So I mean, I could have, for example, dropped the bishop back one. I could have thought about re-maneuvering, but no, I mean forwards, 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 forwards. Right, and now look, I've got 3 pawns on the two central files in my opponent's half of the pitch, which is pretty cool. So the knight now comes around here. I'm not sure what he's doing there, and now I decide it's time to, go balls out with a pawn storm on the king's side. Knight now retreats there. No idea why. Maybe he's thinking of like a4, a5 and bring the rook out just to get the rook into the game. I don't know. So now I move my king. I want to use both my rooks. I want to just, if I can, somehow just get my king out of the way of these pieces here, which are the only active pieces my opponent has. Now they push f3. I ignore it and decide it's time for a rook lift. Why not? It doesn't look like a very pretty rook lift, but rook h6, rook g6, and it's lined up with this king, right? And this pawn here is the only defender of these two. So if I get my rook here, I can freely take this pawn or take that one with my bishop. So that seemed pretty good. Okay, takes, bishop takes. So now my bishop is no longer in this square and can't take that one. Need to remember that. He brings bishop round here. I slide my rook over, and now g4. Right? And this is the point, dude. Right? All of his junk is in the wrong place. Right? Half of it's still in the box. Right? These 3 guys just have not yet even entered the game. Well, this knight's been on a little dance round and has come back. It's come out to a3 and back. But this stuff's just completely offside. So I take the pawn. He pushes. Right, so what do you do here? The other rook comes across. Target the weak pawn. He pushes here. I take with a rook. He gives check. I slide over. He gives check. Also the fork on this bishop. I move my king up. He comes back attacking my knight. So now I have a think. So if you want to pause, find what you think is the best move for black. I was thinking about things like check here, supported by the rook. These are out of bounds, he can't go there. But he's still got a couple of ideas, and I didn't see what the continuation was there. And then I spotted that actually the bishop's covering this square, And so surely rook h1, check. King has to move off the back rank. And I thought I at least win the rook. And then I saw, just by eliminating squares that he can't go to, there are no squares. All I need to do is give check and pawn to g3. It was a beautiful, really beautiful checkmate. So very, very happy with that. So that's the game. Let's have a quick look at the review and see how we did. I'd love to get like an 80 accuracy on there. I think it was okay, but I'd like to refine. Ooh, damn. Okay, 62. 5 blunders from white though. Ouch. Okay, but it's these first moves in particular, but look at the advantage I got here and then completely blew it. I think that's when I just missed the hanging knight. Okay. Rousseau, so this is a mistake already. And e4 is best, good. Inaccurate, best, good. Knight g1's best. Now, is it knight f6 or knight d4 is excellent, knight f6 slightly better. Okay, because he has this. King d8 is best. Good job, Hunty. And that's just a bit weird. Okay, so yeah, now we have d5 with tempo, but this also comes with tempo. So not much, 1 pawn difference. Queen retreats, should have gone all the way home, didn't. d5 is now best. Okay, and now we're really, really strong. Bishop retreats. That it's slightly inaccurate. a5. Is this because this knight has nowhere to go? Actually, the bishop has nowhere to go. So is a5, a4 actually traps the bishop? Missed that. Don't think enough about my edge pawns. Yeah, bishop really has nowhere to run to. Okay, this is okay. And yeah, that's my blunder. So this is where I give away the advantage. I don't even notice that I give away the advantage. Takes. Something's not working right in the old wiring. d3 is best here. Right, it's really, even now it's wanting me to push. Only on move 13, look at these central advanced pawns. It wants me to do this straight away and just really punch a hole straight through. My queen's lined up with this king after all. Okay, it didn't like that. It says white's totally winning here, and that's the best move. It shouldn't have traded queens, knight b5, okay. And then again, you know, a lot of us will still castle because we think castling is good. Well, castling is good in general, but it ain't always good. And here it wasn't great. Here he says he has to push this pawn now to release his bishop, I guess. And I should have hit d3 again there, still trapping this bishop. So I had that idea, I just had it a bit later on. Okay, so here I did feel like I was going out on a limb a little bit. And retreat is best, okay. And now this is just a blunder. He still had to push d3. Now I get in d3, and now I'm almost equal. Oh, I didn't like that. Said I should have defended the pawn instead of pushing, but hey, we pushed. Okay, don't really see it. Knight here is okay. That's a mistake. Should have pushed a6. What did I miss? He can't go there and he can't go there. Would that have trapped the knight? Yeah. Again, I've missed the trap piece. That's 2. Right. Okay. Just the immense control that these bishops have got, not only forwards but backwards down the board as well, and potentially even, you know, to the corner. Centralized pieces, guys, and that's just stupid. I didn't get that at all. That wasn't great. a6 again is trapping the knight, and now he's blundering. Oh, again a6 would have kicked the knight back here, putting 5 of his pieces, or in fact all of his pieces in that corner, really. Bizarre. So it didn't like that at all, but it didn't like that. Bishop takes h3. Wow. Even winninger. Even winninger. Let's have a look at this line. Bishop takes h3. If pawn takes h3, I'm controlling this. Is it... Wait, now it says it's a mistake. Oh, right. He shouldn't recapture. Because rook g6 check. Got a sleeping Labrador next to me. And, of course, a noisy cockerel as well. And it's mate in 6. Wow. So let's just see this line. King h1. Knight takes e4. I can't visualize the mate here. Rook goes to f. I trade off his rook? Offer to trade off his rook? So there must be some kind of forced... Okay. So he can't go... Oh, in fact, his king can't move right now. His king's got no squares. All I need to do is drop this knight in. And that's mate. Isn't it? No, he goes back here. Let's see. So if he trades off rooks, I recapture. Knight d6. Okay, he does this. So he's just... Oh, now knight to f2 is just mate. Okay. Alright, I take this and there's nothing he could... Whatever he does now, a3, and then that's checkmate. So it's like a corner mate, but supported by the bishop and the rook. Wow. So that's definitely some areas. So what I've learned from that game is there's some stuff that went well. Obviously just a complete brain fart blunder, just giving my knight away. But a great example of the power of controlling the center. I thought that was really, really useful. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you soon.